You just sail, and I don't mean this is how I. It turns out the song is not called Sail. It's called, yeah, it is. It's not called Blame It on My ADD. It's called Sail. And it's by a weird who only sung one song, probably. But there's a whole bunch of songs that came out that were weird. Whack. Just like in 1996, a lot of songs came out by female singers. Anywho, I'm just sitting here and I thought of a topic to talk about. And this ought to really get you going. This topic. It's basically religion. And I don't mean, oh, life is bigger than you. That song's by REM, if you'd like to go listen to it. There's something that nobody is talking about. And we need to talk about it. And you know, when you're younger, you don't think about this subject. As you get older, you start thinking about it. But yet, no one is talking about it. Hold on. So, it kind of crapped out a little bit. As you get older, I think you start thinking about it. Well, not the stuff that I'm thinking about, because I told you I've studied all different religions. And I've looked at the Kabbalah, I've looked at I don't know if I looked at the Torah or not, but I read a lot of the Quran, the Holy Quran, and studied a little bit about Hinduism, but not what I wanted to. I told you I took that class in college, at a certain college, which I won't name, and needless to say, the class was lousy. Okay, really was lousy. And you know, I told you the teacher took the book and threw it out the window. I should have walked out of the class as soon as he said that, right? But I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking at the time. You know, I didn't want to miss the semester, you know, for his crappiness. But I ended up dropping out of the class anyway, I think. I don't even really remember. I don't know if I dropped out of class or not. But it's about the oldest religion on planet Earth. And Hinduism, it actually covers a lot of different things, but it needs to be talked about, because, you know, one of the greatest minds that I know is Nikola Tesla, and he checked it out. He was Protestant. His dad was a priest, a Protestant priest, and he checked out the religion, and Hinduism, reincarnation more specifically. And I don't know if it was reincarnation or Hinduism altogether, but he said that it made sense. So coming from a mind like Nikola Tesla, if you understand, what his mind was like, that means a lot. And even Bob Beck, I don't know if you know who Bob Beck is. He was a jet propulsion laboratory down in Pasadena, military, I guess. He worked for the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena. He was a scientist there, engineer. And he said something about it too. Not really, he wasn't really talking about it by name, but he said when he was doing his seminar or whatever, the Granada Forum, 1997 Granada Forum down in Pasadena or somewhere down by Los Angeles, he had commented, he said, you know what? And he was already up there in age. I think he was like, I don't remember what his name is. You can check him out if you can find him. They're hiding him. Oh, I see. What's her name is live right now. Read. I don't know if they're not. But can you scare? No, it's too much of a glare. But he goes, I hope I don't have to come back to the place of painful endeavor. And he said, I have a theory about this. It would have been great to hear his theory, but I've never heard him talk about the theory. But anyhow, this subject needs to be talked about, not lied about. People try and lie about it, especially the reptilian shapeshifters. I see there's some comments in here. I'll read them in a minute. But this thing about reincarnation, when you start getting older, you start thinking about it, or at least I do. And from the little that I've learned when I was taking that course, that college class, it said that the reincarnation is you reincarnate over and over and over until you finally correct all of your flaws. And when you do this, then you don't reincarnate no more. And that's basically what Bob Beck was saying too, right? He says, I hope I don't have to come back to this place of painful endeavor. And, well, you think about it. Even the Holy Scripture says, unless you're born again. And I know they try to twist that, but born again means born again. No matter how these people manipulate and try to say that it means something else. This, I think, is talking about reincarnation, because what I heard is that reincarnation used to be in our holy scriptures, but when it got edited through one of the kings over in England or whatever, they took it out. Okay, I'm not an expert at this, but that's what I heard. And so anyhow, and so until you correct all your flaws, and then you don't have to come back to this place, and you go to I don't know, I guess they call it the Dharma or something like that. But check this out. I was doing a little research on Thomas Edison this morning, and it said that his final words when he was blanking out, right? He said that it's very beautiful over there. This was from Thomas Edison. I know a lot of people say he was a big old, he stole everybody's ideas. Just off looking at him, I don't know what to really make of it, but I've seen people like that, and I know a person that looked like that, had that same look on his face, and he did something that I thought he wouldn't do, right? Basically messing up people's stuff. And you know, I guess some people are just like that, right? Vindictive or whatever. But so, you know, still that's what he said. And so you stop and you think about it, and it is cumbersome to go through the whole process of being, you know, born again. Where are you going to land? Are you going to land in the same situation, right? Are you going to be the same attractiveness or the same non-attractive? Are you going to go, well, they say that if you do wrong, you're actually lowered a level, right? But if you do good, you're raised up a level. So probably if your level increases, probably your looks increase for the better. Who knows? I'm just, you know, brainstorming. But, you know, it is cumbersome to, you know, be a helpless infant baby, you know. It's beyond your control. That's cumbersome. And, you know, until you get to the age of, you know, 7, 8, or 9, and then, you know, it's on, and you're just, you know, and you know, when you get older, you start partying with the going out and partying. You know, good looking people always have something to do. Going to the beach, they always have people flocking around them. Going to the beach, and always have something to do, right? Every minute it's like, I can do this, I can do that. So is it worth it? Is it worth it to go through all that, you know, being born again? To me, it seems rather cumbersome. And you know, do you come back basically as the same person? Or, you know, I have a theory too, myself. When I see people, I'm like, you must have done this in a previous life. That's why your circumstances are what they are. You know, like, you must have been really, you know. But anyhow, I just wanted to share this idea of reincarnation. Because I remember one time when I was going through a really, really tough time in my life. I told you I used to hang around with the homeless people. I used to drive up to the Fresno Central Library, and all the homeless people would be in there. And I actually stayed at the homeless shelter a few nights. And well, around this time, I was building these electronic devices, Bob Beck devices, Hulda Clark devices, and even trying to build some of the more difficult devices like a Lakowski multiple wave oscillator, or a Royal Raymond Rife device. I was actually trying to check this stuff out, which is a little bit more sophisticated, complicated circuitry, and they'll throw you in prison too if you try selling one of them. And well, I remember I'd gone into the store, a store that actually is not even, they went out overnight. This was Radio Shack. And I remember I'd walked into a Radio Shack one time, and I guess I must have looked so depressed, so down and depressed, that the guy, one of the cashiers that was in there, one of the workers, I overheard him say, well, you can just start over, right? And I'm like, he must be the Hindu religion. Maybe that's how they have a different outlook on life. People who study Hinduism and reincarnation, they have a different outlook than our religion, Western religion, or even the other religion. What is it? The Quran. And you know, so I think people need to talk more about this, because I think it's being hidden. I think the religion is being hidden. So let me see what somebody asked on here. Somebody asked a question. Signal's really, really bad. I don't know why. As soon as I moved over here, the signal went bad. It was excellent this morning. Okay, in a scientific sense, it makes sense. From a religious sense, no. That don't even make sense. Okay. How did you become a cow? Yeah, you know, just because you are from that culture doesn't mean that you believe in it. Just like here in this culture doesn't mean that people believe in it. Very few and far between actually have faith in the religion. Just because you say you are that religion or you're from that culture doesn't mean that you believe it. I mean, I've talked to people about it, right? He was looking at me like it was a bunch of, because I read the I forget what the book is called. It's the Vedas. I think it's called the Vedas. I'm not sure, but it talks about this king, and there was this one servant, and the servant could have stole the king's money, but he didn't. So they when they put stuff on the media, if you find police, right? But yeah, like they're supposed to, lets cows. They basically adore a cow, which a cow is very pleasant. Even if you go by where cows are, it puts out a ambience or something. Just, it's very strange. No wonder why they hold the cow with such esteem over there in that culture. But I'll tell you how these people, what they do to the bulls over here. A bull is basically a cow too, right? It's just the male is not good. Okay. And I've seen when I was younger, must have been, I was with this one, uh, person, and we were out at this one place one time, and they had a bull. It was night, and I guess I was having a drink. I was always drinking, and we were always all out listening to stereo. I was into stereos, very much into stereos, audio equipment. And I don't know how the heck we ended up out at this one place, but there was a bull, a big bull. I mean, he was huge. And they had him caged up. That is sick. And you know, certain cultures treat the bull horrible, what they do to the bull. And they had that thing caged up, and he was mad. I mean, he was just that's horrible. I don't know what kind of freaking monster, you know, can do something like that. Probably a reptilian shapeshifter. But the weird thing about it is that later on there was this place called, it was like a Subway. It was before Subway, and it was in the mall, and they made submarine sandwiches, and they were knockout. I didn't realize, you know, I was completely dodo bird, you know, but I'll talk about that when the time is ripe. But anyhow, they had these sandwiches that were really knockout. We were having these sandwiches, and I guess it's around this time where I found out that someone at that place got turned into charcoal. I don't know if it was the person who had that animal, had that bull, you know, in those conditions, but someone on that place got hit by the power lines there, and he got turned into charcoal, is what I heard. I didn't see him, but it came from firsthand. You know, I won't disclose any more information than that. But yeah, there is something to that, to the cow. Okie dokie. App Live. Although you do send notification. There's a different language on here. Thanks for leaving the comment, but I guess YouTube doesn't translate, so just go over to Google and translate it, copy, paste, and then put it in the whatchamacallit, in the comments. But thanks for leaving the comments. Thanks for tuning in. I just wanted to share that information so people start talking about this a little bit more, because I think the information is hidden, and we should know more about this. Other people know about it. People from that culture know about it. I know they've got their Vedas, and you can they sing songs. They sing it. That gets old kind of fast. So if other people start, just like you have a bunch of fallen angels, reptilian shapeshifters, extraterrestrials who've infested the uh, churches around here, you're going to have the same thing trying to spread um, baloney about this religion. So you got to be able to separate the wheat from the chaff. And but at least it needs to be talked about, because right now it's not being talked about. This is information a lot of people need to. I think a lot of people instinctively, a lot of people from the hippie era, they all took these psychedelic things and were enlightened, probably. Like the Native Americans, they get enlightened with peyote, the cactus that grows out in the desert. And other cultures use ayahuasca, to learn these things. And a lot of people take mushrooms, and apparently it becomes clear as day, right? And so, and they just know. They know that life goes on. And, somebody had told me that one time. They say, life goes on. But I thought, meaning that the person who had departed, everybody else, life goes on, right? But I guess what was really meant was that the person who departed, that life goes on. And so anyhow, like I said, I took a college course. I wanted to learn about this. I wanted to learn about Hinduism. And the teacher took the book and threw it out the window. And so that's why I'm doing this, so that more people can start talking about it, and we can learn more about this religion that's the oldest religion on planet Earth. A lot of people also study Buddha, right? And a lot of people don't know about Buddha, what that was all about. But this is a whole different thing. So thanks for tuning in. This is Monday, September. Today happens to be the equinox, which means that everybody on planet Earth gets the same amount of daylight and the same amount of nighttime, I guess, because it's on the equator or something like this. The Earth shifts this way. I don't know. I'm not an astrology expert. Anywho, the one girl is on here reading the tarot card, so if you like that kind of stuff, go listen to what she's saying, because I don't know what she's on, but she's seeing something, right? I don't even know her name, but she's on right now. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for sharing. I will talk to you later.